Right, folks, we're back with our next round game between Josh Sokol and Nsikak Etim, another extremely strong performing Nigerian player on your right. And of course, a player who many of you should need no introduction. Matt, you've surely watched many a Josh Sokol game on stream over the years.
Oh man, yeah, Josh is a treat for the stream every time he's on. He brings a brand of Scrabble that is creative and clever. He, more than anybody else outside of, say, Nigel Richards, likes to shape the board to the tiles he currently has, likes to set himself up. He's very creative and very fun to watch. Though the last time I got to see Josh on stream, we saw a little bit of rust, not totally solid on his CSW only words yet, but that's to come for him, and he's still putting up great results despite the deficits in some word knowledge.
Yeah, it's actually amazing how well he's doing with just still big holes in his Collins only word knowledge as a North American player for most of his career. But he is going to be laying down his top play here. Hopefully, this is he couldn't miss a will variation word on stream for me, Matt.
No, absolutely not. You got to give Will the shout out when you can. This was interesting. Generally, putting the S at the end of a word is not something you want to do on the first turn. Bingos to or from the S happen very frequently for massive scores, but with two S's, I think this was still correct from Josh to put the S at the end of the word. Tough decision.
Yeah, what is that last letter on Etim's rack there? Was it an E? Is it a vowel? We see AMVTR blank, the identity of that last letter. If it is a vowel, it might be bingoing here. And I guess we don't know what it is just yet. Hopefully he can use the middle of his rack a little bit more so. Clearly, I'm guessing a consonant, Matt, because he plays Merv relatively quickly without even thinking too hard. Another R. So that makes a lot of sense why he would pull the trigger on Merv so quickly.
Yeah, it's basically like it has to be an R or else Merv is not a good play, and a team is far too good a player to make poor plays like that. That makes sense. And now he's got OE, and I still don't know what the seventh is. We'll working with our team on the ground to see if we can get Nsikak to put the letters in the right spot. But Josh has a fun turn here with the big S hook made available after Merv, and Josh kind of telegraphing that he has another S. He gets to choose now if he wants to cash it in. Jay Hoos is 40 making Mervs, but Jay Hoos is also 27 playing to the S on the board and holding Josh's second S. Those are both really awesome plays. Will, what do you think? 40 play the S, 27 and don't.
Oh, brutal. The thing about the S is that the Merv play makes the S so strong because there are a lot of different types of plays that just aren't possible with a V here. You're not going to see an underlapping play. You're not going to see any other hook to Merv. Instead, he is going to go with Jehu's, which makes sense to me. It is a lot of extra points. And I think it's possible that if you were to have seen Josh play it for fewer points here, if a team doesn't have a bingo, he could easily play something across from this W or something that cripples the S hook. And now you're stuck on a board that maybe you draw a bingo ending in S and it just, excuse me, just doesn't fit.
Yeah, there's that COVID finally coming in and hitting Will. Oh man, he has been such a trooper, fighting 4 straight days of commentary through COVID. So I'll let Will take a little cough break and cover for him here. And Jehu's is a very interesting decision. I like what Josh did, but if you play it here and a team tries to obstruct the S, you've now got an E in a double-double line. That feels fantastic. But at the same time, he played Merv so quickly that I think there's no reason he does that unless he's got an S of his own. It feels weird to make that play otherwise. So I think an S was in a team's range often from Josh's perspective, and that's why he opted to take it there. A team with a nice draw had a bunch of bingos there. Outrates is one of his highest scoring one, as well as Garotts, Garotts, or Batteros, Batteros. both 78. There was also a 9 through the disconnected WE. That was fantastic for a team there. It was only 74 and not his best play, but there's a little puzzle for you in chat. And here's a little puzzle for Josh, AIILNRY. You'd love to play rainily here, but you cannot. There are no playable bingos, and Josh has a tough turn on his hands.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for that. I got a nice swig of my honey water here to calm that throat down. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned some of the other bingos that would have played in this highest scoring spot. One of them being the Collins only word Batteros, which puts a B here. Crazy how some of these tiny differences between plays, if that was the play for a team, Josh is hammering down brainily right here for an absolutely huge counter score. Instead, he does not actually have a playable bingo on this turn, and that makes things a lot tougher for him here. How does he approach this turn? He's got this Y. Normally, you would be absolutely desperate to play off this Y in short order, but actually, if ever you were going to keep it for any reason, he's got the perfect tiles to accompany it with that L and maybe the I. So I still definitely expect Josh to play off his Y somewhere, leaving himself with other more traditional bingo tiles. But maybe he's going to pick something surprising, Matt.
I don't think he'll surprise us here. He's going to look for opportunities, but the play of Anility, ANILITY for 30 just seems so much stronger than the other options. Get rid of as many of these one-pointers as you can and score 30 in the process. I think that's the move here.
That makes a lot of sense. Just on the scoreboard alone, he doesn't have to worry that much about getting a bingo down after the way that the game has transpired. He opened with a solid 20-ish point, mid-20s point play. Etim had to score only a small amount, and then Jehu scored 40. So actually, even though Etim's gotten that first bingo down, Josh is barely even behind, and he is going to play the Matt approved option of Anility here. I like it too.
Yeah, I think a lot of players will just play WINEY in that situation. They'll see AILR as a leave with floaters and start licking their chops, but you got to do better. You got to make the best move every turn. I think this is the best move from Josh. Well done from him.
Couple chatters noting that a cool option could have been Viney off of the V of Mervs, setting up your L with a good bingo leave. That's a cool thought. I don't mind that as a choice if you want to go that route, but I certainly feel like the extra points of Anility make a lot of sense. And very, very quickly is Etim hammering down what looks to be one of his top play, if not the top play of, does this word mean puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle, or to puzzle something out? I'm not sure, but it's a great play.
Oh, don't look that one up. Nope, don't look that one up. Never mind.
Oh no, is it something? Oh, beautiful. You see it scrolling across the bottom of your board right now. We can't avoid it. And enjoy that, everybody out there in the chat, and try not to use that to any of the ladies in your life, apparently. So yeah, that's didn't see that coming whatsoever. Let's try to keep it PG in the chat, and over to Josh, who has some good bingo tiles, but 3 A's, Matt.
Whoa, yeah, okay, Josh, these are the turns I love. These are the turns I love to sit here in the booth and watch. Dropping AA makes sense for Josh here. AA right there is a ton of points. 17 points, and it holds AENRT. Playing Anna in the same spot scores 24 points and holds AERT. That's awesome as well. Playing Anata, ANATA, in the same spot, scores 30 points and holds ER, which is a great leave. All of those plays make a lot of sense for Josh in this situation. I could also see him trying to play these tiles in a different part of the board. I could see Josh playing Apnea through the P just to take away that opportunity. There are a ton of logical moves here for Josh. He's got to pick the best one. He's going to spend some time on this turn, I bet.
Something that intrigues me about two of the plays that you just suggested, Matt, is AA right here versus in the very same spot, almost the very same spot, I guess, Anna right here. So normally there's no doubt that keeping the N as part of this leave right here, this would be the most powerful bingo leave that you can keep on this turn. But something about playing the N here, this looks like maybe it makes it slightly more difficult to overlap. I don't know. Is this really? This looks like it's very easy to overlap, where I guess if you just add one more degree of difficulty to being able to go all the way down, maybe that adds a little bit of defensive value to that play. I guess the inclusion of ENE in the Collins lexicon maybe renders that point moot, but it's just something to consider. Oh, wow. Look at this play, Matt. So Josh going with the maximum defensive way. He's not setting up that easy J overlap here. What do you make of this choice?
I was going to say AA for 17 is the dummy play here. It just gives back so much so often. And you see a team would be threatening Yurivd, YRIVD, for like 50 if Josh had played this one space higher. This is a great choice from Josh. You know you're not going to have a high scoring overlap next turn. You might have a bingo, but you're not going to have those 4 or 5 tile plays that score 50 because you're keeping all one pointers. You want the board to be open to bingo opportunities, but you don't want those mammoth scores coming down. I love this from Josh.
Yeah, it's a great acknowledgement of all of the bad things that can happen if you shift these two tiles one space up. You just give a team so many more points than he would have. That's very Josh Sokol right there. I feel like that is classic Josh to appreciate these tiny little nuances and just be unwilling to make his opponent's life easy. Playing Josh is an exercise in difficulty and pain. He's making it tough for you, but in the best way. He's really putting the pressure with things like that, just not wanting to give you any kind of easy play in response. And at team, even though at team's in the lead, I guess Josh with his BP draw, that's going to be tough. I'm not sure if he has anything playable, but Josh definitely knocking on the door of equalizing this game.
Yeah, that was a fun move from Josh. He makes so many of these plays that look on their face like, what on earth are you doing? And then you think for like 4 extra seconds and you're like, oh, yeah, of course. That
That's
looks
it.
way better, actually.
Right.
But that's a lot of people just play AA for 17, and that's definitely the wrong thing to do. I don't know that AA, the way Josh played it, is the right thing to do. I think I'd like Anna in that spot to set up the big ENE plays, but they both have a lot of merit. I definitely wouldn't play AA for 17, though. Cool stuff. A team also has a fun turn here now, DEIIRVY. He gets to make sort of a similar decision of how bingo prone do I want to keep myself. TIVY down from the T and out rates keeps what I think is the best leave here. He's going to leave a few points on the table, though, and play very. Get rid of the R for 4 extra points. What do you think about that, Will?
It's a calculated choice on his part. He's decided that, I'm going to sacrifice a little bingo percentage on my next turn for 4 extra points here. Makes sense to me. I also would note that maybe he's thinking about Tivy here yielding some good counters. If Josh has a tile like the B, for example, he can hit that relatively hard. Remember too, in Collins, the F and K can play alongside a Y. So it's not quite as free and easy to play some Y in that spot as it would normally be. So that could be guiding some of a team's thinking as well. And a very nice look at this. I'm proud of Josh for playing this Collins only 4-letter word, Matt. Piba looks like clearly his top option here.
Yeah, slam dunk, the correct play. You've just got to spot it, and Josh has spotted it. Nicely done.
Yeah, great overlap. Of course, the aforementioned, we were just talking about the previous play of putting an N right here, setting up the E hook, Clearly, Josh knows that. No surprise there. But Piba is, not the most obvious one for a primarily North American player for most of his career. An epic going down. This makes sense to me, Matt. This looks like Etim's highest scoring play, but look at that leave that he keeps behind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't respond to that. I'm throwing up in my mouth right now. That leave is so abysmal, but you've got to take away the spot, I think. Scrabble makes you make hard decisions. This is a hard decision for Etim, but the right one. Just man, that leave is rough. I can't even think of a draw that's good that would fix that. I know that one's
Now,
not.
yeah, it's not. And it is nowhere near the draw that Etim hoped for. I think that last tile might be a vowel, which is good, but really the situation here is about to get potentially extremely spicy as Josh is about to make a play that is quintessential Josh if he decides to pull the trigger on it of rotation right here. This is kind of crazy. It's his only bingo. It scores 59 points. And of course, creating a gigantic S hook, 2 S's and 1 blank still to come. But Josh is known. I made a video about it where he expresses his thoughts on plays like this, these type of aggressive plays. Josh is no stranger to them and does not fear them, perhaps more so than any other player in the game today.
Josh loves to set things like this up when he isn't forced to, but in this situation, Scrabble forcing him to. That is the only playable bingo, so you gotta do it. I might not if I'm up by 100, but it's always hard to pass that the only bingo on the board. This is going to be fun, and we know Etim has no S on his rack. I'm curious to see someone who plays defense like Etim, how he will respond to the bingo from Josh. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think eventually he's going to come around to the fact that eventually. I said eventually, and it happened literally a tenth of a second after I completed that word coming out of my mouth. Not as long to wait as I suspected, but there it is. Rotation coming down and catching Etim with a very, very difficult rack to handle it properly. Yeah, this is about to get pretty spicy. Depending on Josh's draw, it could go into overdrive very quickly in terms of content being generated here. Let's see what Josh draws.
That's content as well. Now, neither player can do anything productive at all while a massive spot sits there on the board. Dilemma, thy name is Scrabble, and I'm here for it. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is hilarious. So the normal moves that you could make without acknowledging this gigantic S hook, which could swing the game quickly, depending on how good the draw is for one of the two players. Normal play for a team would be something like band. That looks phenomenal. It scores 30 points, leaving NG on your rack. Maybe you draw an ING bingo, but that leaves the huge spot completely open. Maybe a team has no choice but to go this route. And then the really interesting thing is that band in this spot does allow hooks to go across, BAND as a word. You've got an A hook on that. Oh, instead, bank is the play. That's a really interesting choice, Matt. I kind of like this one if you can't do anything better.
It takes a back O though, and there are 6 unseen O's. That's I think it's the right idea, but unfortunately, it's hard for a team to execute that plan. Band has like 1 million back hooks. Bank also has 1 million back hooks. Well, actually, just 2. But with this pool, it's 1 million. 6 O's, 2 S's, and a blank. I would have played bang, I think, in that situation, not bank. But an interesting decision there from Etim for sure. He'll set up the O. He'll draw the O. But Josh has 2 O's and nobody was home on the threat from the get-go. What an interesting game.
This is amazing how quickly he is just going ahead and playing Ovule. I feel like this is a leak in my game. I would be sitting there staring at this move for a while, but Josh instead confidently just hammering it down, using 4 tiles, trying to get his hands on an S. And if he does, he's got an O. Maybe if he draws the right consonants, he'll play something beautiful overlapping through there. Oh my gosh, the blank finding its way on there too. This is getting kind of crazy in a hurry, Matt.
And it's going to continue to get crazy as the team has some really neat plays available to him. He's got several major overlapping plays in this spot that might knock out big rotations plays, but will make that bank to banko or bank to bank spot enormous in this game. The 5-letter Gonia, Gonia, or Danio, Danio, each play there for 37 right now. But he's also got Banco plays. Onding is also 37 right now. I have no idea what he's supposed to do. This is a really complicated position. Josh Sokol always makes your brain explode, and he's doing it again on stream.
Yeah, he's like, it's funny, right? He's a content creator. That's what he does on Twitch and YouTube, but I feel like he's a content creator in his Scrabble style as well. He just has a style that lends itself to games that are tremendously entertaining to watch, and this is one of them with this gigantic Esso just sitting here waiting to be pounced on. I do think Etim is going to consider playing Onding right now. This feels like a great way to take the sting out of this S hook quite a bit. There's really not much that can still happen. Going across a 2-letter play in this area, that starts to just be no better than an average play on a typical Collins board, as opposed to the unobstructed spot could potentially be much more damaging than a normal play. So I think that's what we're going to see here, and I do appreciate that choice from Etim's POV.
Yeah, Onding is just such a good option. If you know the word and you're confident on it, I think it's what you've got to do here, but maybe not, actually. I'm looking at the unseen pool, and I'm running a simulation on this turn, and Quackle actually loves the play of Gonna here, which feels counterintuitive at first. Like, why would keeping ID be better? But there's only one I left in the entire pool. So keeping the I actually has some merit. Gonna, Gonna, is winning a sim by a healthy margin, nearly 2 points over Gonia and 4 points over Onding. Interesting.
What a fantastic observation. So yeah, the I in a vacuum, one I is actually a fantastic tile. It gives you so much flexibility for extra suffixes in bingo length words, meshes really well with, combinations like ER, certainly with an S as well, but it's the duplicated I's that get you into trouble. But yeah, so fascinating that Gunna in this spot might actually do as well or better than Gonia just because of the paucity of eyes in the pool. You don't have to worry about that duplication. So the eye really a strong tile here. Makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I could easily see, there's a lot of options that take the sting out of this hook of rotation, which Gunna does very well. But Etim probably also worried about this hook too. So I don't know. It's there he goes. This would be so impressive, Matt, if he ends up playing Gunna right now.
Man, being in the commentary booth for each of the last 2 major tournaments has made me realize people are so good at Scrabble, not just finding the equity play and hammering it home every play, but thinking through the nuance and adjusting their game. He's going to go with Dinna here instead of Gunna. He's going to keep the G-O combination. I think he wants to hold the O for Banco, but holding the G to go with it is a major sacrifice from an equity perspective.
Also, this takes
decision.
This takes an E hook. So I don't know if Josh knows that word. So this could either be a slight oversight on a team, or maybe he's crazy like a fox and thinks if Josh doesn't know that E hook, I am greatly increasing the odds that I get a play like Sego right here, holding his GO in reserve. If he draws SE, maybe he's setting himself up in a way that potentially he thinks only he will be able to capitalize on. That would be absolutely insane on his part. impossible to know for sure, as Josh playing Exim very fast, getting the X off the rack. It seemed like a reasonable choice for him here. Not sure what else he even had.
I think Josh had one fantastic play. EXO, Dine, and Banco on that last move. Looks so good. He goes ahead by a narrow margin, but he keeps all the goodies. It's a really commanding position. Josh is weak to bingos on the bottom now after Exim, but with the blank in hand, perhaps he thinks he can get there first. Josh either rushed that decision or didn't know or spot Dine, I think, because EXO is a play you need to think about there. And just cashing in SEX rotations and Dine, burning the blank, also received some merit, I think, on that turn. That was a weird rush from Josh on a turn that I think was very complex.
Yeah, there is a lot of uncertainty right now in terms of what are the players seeing, what are the players thinking and going for. There is one of those S's finding its way onto a team's rack, and I wonder. So the unseen tiles are from Josh's perspective right now. So there are still 2 E's in the bag, which a team could eventually draw to play here. But I don't want to overemphasize the importance of this spot anymore. It's going to be really difficult to slot a play in there. I think more salient it would be a play right here. That's something that can actually matter. And now there's like more traditional lanes open on the board that are going to matter. A couple people in the chat also noting that could we see some kind of crazy extension to Epic be played at some point? Certainly, there are a few 8-letter extensions that the players are likely to know, but what about stuff that's longer? I could see Josh, I don't know about what a team's knowledge is there, but I could see Josh knowing random stuff like that, Matt.
Epicondyle and that kind of stuff would be fun to see. Epicenter. There are a lot of opportunities to go up there, but not anymore. Josh, right on cue, taking away the fun. He's supposed to be a content creator, and instead he's a sadness maker. We won't get to see any epic extensions today.
Yeah, too bad. But there's still a lot of action happening on this board. And yeah, we're just going to have to see what a team elects to do. All right. The fun appears to be over, Matt. Oh, man. I say that, but there's still so much left to be decided in this incredibly tight touch and go game. We did not get to see rotations go down, which is kind of vindication of Josh playing it so confidently there.
What a sad anticlimax to what could have been absolutely nutso. You know, if EXO comes down with Dine and Banco, chat's pointing out sexology as a non-bingo triple was in play. Like, this is one of those words you manufacture for a puzzle, and yet we've taken away all the risk and volatility. The reason why we're seeing players do this is because each of these players went from, ooh, I don't really like how things look, my racks are ugly, to ooh, all of a sudden I've got just enough goodies. I think I'm going to hold on and win. Let me avoid the volatility. A team has that huge S to hit Hags bingos or Ovules bingo. Josh has the blank to try to rush to a bingo of his own here. I think we're going to see next bingo wins unless the bingo you have to play gives a bingo back to your opponent. But now it's a race to a bingo. And a team with the Q is not going to have one this turn. Josh with a bunch of vowels is not going to have one this turn. Josh needs to get in range as soon as possible.
Yeah, he's got DOO lined up on his rack, and I wonder if he has the appetite to play something like Do right here, which is so hyper aggressive. But it also scores 16, which is about the best that he can do. That would be very surprising to see Josh do. It just feels like it throws caution to the wind in a way that makes my stomach churn a little bit. But is that something you could ever see him do, Matt?
The longer you sit here and don't see anything else, the more likely it is that, maybe he will do it. Maybe there's nothing else. I don't know. I think it also makes a little bit of sense to play it here and just open up some space so that when you do draw bingo next turn, it fits. Right now, this board really wants you to have an S to bingo, Otherwise, you're stuck probably hitting this line and ceding big opportunities back to your opponent. Here it is.
Jesus. This is hilarious, and it really is going to make a team's life quite difficult. Yes, he can play ERR if he wants to right here for 20 points, leaving a solid SQU leave. But if Josh draws some consonants, and it looks like he's not going to draw enough of them, he could have surged into the game, surged into the lead a little bit. I don't think he's likely to have a bingo available here. But yeah, this is just crazy back and forth. Look at the scores, too. Don't let anybody tell you that there aren't defensive struggles in the Collins lexicon.
What a fun game. What a fun game. I have no idea who's going to win. I have no idea what a team's going to do. What a fun play from Josh after Kef was a play where fun goes to die. ERR looks like it makes a bunch of sense. Just hold the QUST combination together. He also really wants to think about pacing with 6 tiles in the bag. Playing 3 is what you're looking to do here. So ERR seems to check all the boxes. He played that fast. There's going to be 2 or 3 turns left in this game, and a team goes in with 11 minutes left. But ERR does make a ton of sense for all the right reasons. He's opted to play it.
Yeah, comments, great observations in the chat about the composition of the unseen tiles. What we know based on Josh's draw that, yeah, he probably would have liked to see another consonant come out of the bag, but because he picked all the vowels, he's actually in a fantastic situation right here, knowing to a certainty that a team can only have a maximum of 1 vowel on his rack. So with 3 tiles in the bag, Josh is actually in a really good situation. The ability to use 2 vowels here, knowing either I'm going to get 2 consonants for sure, or if I draw that last U, a team is going to be in a world of hurt with not even a single vowel on his rack. So a lot for Josh to consider here. And frankly, out of all the players that we've seen, I love Josh's chances of processing this very difficult position accurately.
Yeah, he's got to figure this one out. There's a lot for Josh to think about here, but the big thing, again, you notice the extremely skewed distribution of the pool. A team is not going to bingo again, and he's probably going to struggle. The other big thing you want to think about here, if you're Josh, is the queue. It's hard to tell for sure whether a team had it or not last turn. ERR is sort of a forced play with almost any leave, but you do not want to draw the queue here if you're Josh. I don't see almost anything he can do. So I think I'm actually looking to play 1 tile here. Fishing an E somewhere on this board makes a lot of sense. I don't want to draw the Q. I think a lot of other bingo or a lot of other 1 tile draws will still bingo. Comedian, for instance, would be in play from the C. So I think we're going to see Josh play 1, knowing that drawing the Q might be game over for him, and drawing almost anything else puts a team in a very tough situation. He is going to think about shook plays, and I think holding the I is going to be very important to address the Q spot here as well. But it's great when you're in these situations. I know my opponent has almost no threats because the pool's so bad. I think a 1 tile play is what we're going to see, but Josh will figure this one out.
Yeah, so interesting too. The play you suggest, Matt, of just playing the E right here. One of the few things you do mention SUQ right here, but that actually isn't the worst thing for Josh holding an I. He would probably welcome that going into an end game, knowing that this would deplete a team's only vowel. He should be able to win end games after that. The other play worth thinking about is SUQS right here, and fishing your vowel here. Not only does it create another lane to deal with, it blocks that possibility as well. A couple other options that the engine seems to like, also dealing with the SUQS hooks. Something like this might be a way to create another line as well. It does have the negative of blocking some of the things from the C. You did mention comedian, which actually is not playable here with OT, but I'm sure there are other things that are playable off of this C, so you might want to have it as a lifeline. Very, very tricky situation, but I actually feel like given this exact situation that he sees in the bag, Josh has to feel like he should have some great winning chances here.
Josh's previous draw after DOO of Val, I think is a situation where a lot of players say, oh my goodness, I got so unlucky. Any one consonant and I bingo and win the game. But Val is nearly always a path to victory for Josh as well, because it means a team is so hamstrung here.
There he goes.
Here.
Look at that. Perfect. So this does so much, Matt, of what you were mentioning is important in this position.
And a team has to just shake his head like, oh my goodness, this play doesn't come down unless you have really good stuff. And now Josh pulling Hemiola as a natural as well. That's crazy. Hemiola plays at the bottom. I'm trying to make sure Josh has bingos in other lines. He can't hit the E in Ovule. I don't think he hits the L in Ovule at all. Hemiola might be all he has right now.
Even then, though, I feel like bingoing is not necessarily a must for him here as well. I think he has that H draw is just so nice because it gives him flexibility after this next play. If a team ends up playing Fug, I think I mean, what is he even going to do with his leftover Q, right? Like Josh should be just fine in the resulting end game because he's drawn 2 high point tiles to use. So yes, Josh wants to get that bingo down quickly. I don't think a team is going to play Fug here. He just must know that the Q is just never doing anything for him. But yeah, either way, Josh has got to feel good with that H draw.
Yeah, great play from Josh. It's so hard for him to lose with almost any tile he pulls out of the bag because the team's faced with almost this exact position. He can't know what Josh has, but you have to know a play of just an E fish from a player as good as Josh means probably all of those vowels are on his rack and that blank is on his rack. He doesn't make that play for almost any other reason.
Yeah, it's just brutal for Ed Team, who I feel like he probably felt like after his last few plays that he was kind of tentatively in control there. He had SQU on his rack. Josh making a series of moves. I just feel like this move of do was so crazy, but look at how well it worked out to get a team to spend that important E and really get it to some trouble right now with only 2 tiles in the bag. This is like a classic Josh Sokol rabbit out of the hat game in progress here.
Yeah, it's so easy to bungle the end of this game with the series of complex racks that Josh has had, but he's not going to do that. He's found the blank, and even though he may not use it to bingo here, he's going to ride it to a victory. I still think so much of the complexity of this game goes back to Josh's play of AA much earlier on. That gave us the more complicated board position. If he just plays AA in this spot, that's a boring game of Scrabble. Whoever smacks this spot for 60 is probably going to win the game. Josh decided instead to avoid the volatility and create a game that's more complex, that one that he can figure out, and he's figured it out fantastically.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what, from a team's perspective, gives me some hope here. I feel like he is probably realizing with these tiles that he's in a little bit of trouble after just this E play. This certainly looks like a play that you would make holding the blank if you're Josh. If you didn't have the blank, I could imagine wanting to play more tiles than just the one and try to get your hands on it. So I'm very, very worried that I'm up against the blank if I'm a team and I have to somehow find a way to beat Josh in games where he has that tile. I guess there might be some way to do it, Matt, but maybe a team has to pretend that it's still lurking.
The longer he spins here, though, this is pointed out in chat and a great point. The longer he spins here, the more Josh can conclude, oh, yeah, he's got the Q. This is only an extremely hard turn if you have the Q. So the faster he plays, the less confident Josh can be that the Q is on a team's rack. But a team's got to know this is the game. This is your last shot. try to optimize it. We know with the strength of Josh's rack, there is no optimizing to be done.
So he's set Sook up again. And my guess is rather than play it here, he would play that here on his next turn. I think that at least makes things a little more difficult. If you can make Josh play an accurate end game after a play like that, maybe that gives you more practical chances. I don't think the computer engine would really like Etim's chances after that. Unfortunately for him, we know that the tiles in the bag, well, maybe it's not so unfortunate that there is actually an S coming to him in the bag, but the other tile, the W, is not what a team needs. I think a team would be hoping for something like S vowel. That might be a little bit promising for him here, but yeah, this is definitely a tricky spot, and he just plays off the F. I guess it's as good of an idea as I can find, Matt.
Everything else loses 100%. So just try to make Josh mess this one up. Now, Josh is a good enough player that he wouldn't. But I think if you make this play against a weaker player, it's possible that they bungle this one in one way or the other. It's possible that you get a miracle draw as well. I think this is about the best a team could have done. Put the complexity back on Josh and try to make him make a mistake. But he won't do that.
Yeah, I guess the tricky thing though, if you're Josh, is how do you proceed here? Do you try to play a bunch of tiles right now at once, or do you fish one tile again and continue to put the onus on a team? I guess the problem is if you just play one, I don't know. I mean, the tiles are so ugly in the bag that I don't think a team is going to be able to go out into, even if Josh plays just one tile. Normally, the risk in a situation like that, if you just play one letter right now, if you're Josh, your opponent can potentially plan out an end game sequence over 2 turns to end the game. But I'm not so sure a team will be able to do that.
I'm just trying to play around with different options. Josh has to make sure he doesn't give back Sook or Sook in different places. And Josh now kind of stuck. He can't open this board up as he'll allow Shooks to play for a bunch of points. I think Josh wants to go out in 2 as often as possible here. So instead of playing one tile, I think he wants to play off 4 or 5 if he can. He's just got to do that in a defensive way that doesn't give much back. The other thing Josh has to think about is the queue. It's more likely than not that a team has it right now, but if the queue is the last tile on the bag, he has to make sure he converts that into a win. He has to think about the hard situations where the queue's in the bag and the easy ones where a team's already got it and he's sunk. It's a tough turn. This is why a team playing one tile last turn had such a good idea.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And now Josh arranging Ohm on his rack. Where is he getting set to play that alongside Ovule potentially? This looks like maybe the only logical spot to play it. He's thinking there maybe that Sooks isn't quite as damaging as usual, and you still keep the eye to underlap it if you play that. Oh boy, Ohio in that spot also seems like a potentially reasonable choice. I don't think he's going to be in huge danger to a massive Q play there. Note that the score is still not in Josh's favor. It's not that much of an even game. Just dropping the F, just a one tile play, but it did garner 13 points, which is kind of a lot in such a close game, Matt. Man, I really am confused here.
I wonder if Josh has the opportunity to set himself up in a devastating way here. I'm looking at plays that, like just maybe not HA, but something like this, allowing a mammoth score to come down here that a team can do very little about. That seems like it could be really cool. A team is not going out into pretty much ever. He has to play Shook or Shooks in this spot most of the time. And no matter what he keeps on his rack, that's not going out in 2. So Josh is going to get at least 2 more plays if he wants in this game. I think playing here makes some kind of sense, but you want to make sure you keep one of the 2 scoring tiles on your rack to crush the spot. I wonder, like HAO, I'm just going to keep throwing things down there. HAO doesn't work at all. That's FO.
Whoa.
He's just going to play one tile here, the blank.
Just rotations here. Very interesting. So, oh man, he's going to draw the other S out of the bag, which is maybe not what he expected here. That was the last tile, but boy, that opens up a world of possibilities for a team here, potentially, knowing that it's a basically even game. I feel like Josh should still be a favorite in this game, but I really worry about his clock now, too, Matt.
I think he's going to be able to figure this end game out, but playing the blank for an S and then drawing an S is really fun out of the bag. This play wins, I think, if Josh draws anything except the Q out of the bag, and he's using a little bit of his gut to determine. Well, FE probably did actually hold the Q for a team. I don't think it's one of the last two. Rotation wins 7 out of 8 times in a vacuum. But drawing the Q was a vulnerability there for Josh. I guess he assumed he wouldn't draw it. He didn't draw it, and he is going to win this game.
Wow, crazy. Absolutely crazy. Very, very nice. It makes sense, right? Because if you're getting into a protracted end game where it's going to take a bunch of turns to finish this thing off, and you think a team might have SSUQ on his rack, you could see a 2-turn combination with plopping your S down here for a good score and then Suk. That could be enough points that it would be tough to overcome. A team with plenty of time, but he is going to try to play fast. It looks like he was about to play Ute here through that E of Ovule. Maybe trying to create a safer place for himself to play Suk on a subsequent turn, just knowing if he plays it now, it's just a non-starter. That's probably the idea here, Matt. Do you see any other principle in play?
I think you're just kind of done at this point. This is, I guess, the best idea. Josh is not going to hit you out and make him figure out how to address this spot. But plays like HOISE beneath this absolutely. Well, I guess that still gives back Shuk. At least complicate things. Give Josh a tough puzzle to solve with 40 seconds on his clock. That's cool. Try to induce the blunder. Josh is going to play Hose to keep that eye to hit back if Shuk comes down. And I think that's enough for him.
Yeah, he should be all right after that. He's got, yep, there we go. And he'll be able to just play Am I in that spot, which should be more than enough as an overlap. A team might now realize that. He might essentially say, no, I should probably play it here instead because I'm not giving back anywhere such, nowhere near as big of a play. But then Josh will just go out with aim. Let me get the scores. I'm so sorry. It is 365 to 335 now after Josh's big overlap of ovules there. So crazy finish to this one. Oh my God. I think Josh should still be fine, even if he takes a penalty too. But I think he'll be able to finish this one out without doing so, Matt.
Yeah, great job by both of these players bringing drama and suspense to the end of this one. Josh did not have this thing slam dunk closed when he had a ton of vowels on his rack. He had to make sure he took his 80 or 90% and converted it to the W here. Seems to have maximized his chances of doing that, and a team doing everything he can to make this game as difficult as possible. He's not going down without swinging. That was just a ton of fun to watch from both ends of this game.
It's just like crazy how tactical this became. Pretty much the whole way after you pointed it out, Matt. This was the play that started things on the path of becoming more about tactics than play finding alone. If you just shift these 2 letters up one space for an extra 4 points, now the plays that are being made probably by both players for much of the rest of the game are starting to be more about let's just find my good scoring plays. And Josh going to play aim to finish this off. Let's get the final score here. Crazy game. I'll have the final score for you guys in just a second.
I show 389, 356 in this one. We'll see if we can catch overhead mic, but I think they're a little behind on the paperwork right now.
389. It's all right. Insane game. Oh my god. Lovely. Just couldn't draw a vowel. I wonder how many vowels you drew all game. That was amazing. That was an amazing play. Awesome play. Yeah. Yeah, everyone watching me was in the back. Yeah. You had the cue though.
After this move, I'm not done this. After this move, I'm not done this. Well, you could ignore that. That's what
You just like lose instantly. So
we go together. Like, if you pick, I'm not getting it now. If you pick score, yeah, without the bingo, I don't really lose.
it's done. It's done.
Is restricted.
I played the D. Normally I wouldn't. I played it because you played this. And if you only have one vowel, you can't really hit the spot very hard.
I guess just maybe. You're right. Five times. All those tells what we're saying.
And then if I draw the vowel, it's like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. Insane. Like, time is probably.
Yeah, you know the points. You know the points. Oh, that's right.
What'd you have?
I didn't say
This is what you have?
because I know him. But if I change this to
Is that what you had?
yeah, why do you make this?
Wow.
If I change this to
You could do that.
I'll now need a bingo because if you pick score here, they give me that kind of thing. I'll now need a bingo.
Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah. You can analyze this game for like a month.
It doesn't look so promising. Except
I don't think you would have done better than him. He plays so well. I love playing him. So is that right? 389, 356?
yeah, yes, I'll win.
After this? No.
So this was what we had in the back.
No, you can't go out.
No, I'm saying that this was the 2000 lap. I picked this and I left this for you.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I'm pretty sure you don't win. Like, even if you get soups.
If I got the S instead of the W, I win.
I don't think so, but maybe. I didn't think so. That's why.
But you have the no. But if you use your blank here, you may not win.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. But we didn't have that much time.
So you have this. You know you don't have time.
Last time I was on stream, people were like saying the same thing. Oh, I think you blew the game. But I had it all figured out. But it was scary. It's like a very stressful. But I think I win. I don't know. Because you only have. What are you gonna do?
This with the S.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna
I have like
this.
I'm gonna score like 30, 40 points, whatever you do.
And you don't have time.
I don't have time. That's true. You could win on time. That's possible.
Probably for template.
Okay, I didn't know that word. That's a good play. I would have probably lost. Wow. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. 40. That's a lot. 43. It's close. It's going to be close.
Well, it may be 12 because after this, You're at large.
All right. Well, the players are still iterating through every situation here. I'm not sure. I think a team is just going through every last idea that he had as the players are submitting their scores, Matt. But Hag, look at that. How interesting of a play would that have been? Potentially allowing Sooks in an even more damaging spot. That's kind of, it forces Josh to burn his blank if he wants to block it.
Wow, that's a really interesting possibility as well. Of course, it takes guts. You have to assume the S is in the bag, but you're so sunk in every other instance there. Maybe that was a move. I think Etim, though, the real mistake he made in this game was only drawing 15 vowels across the entire game. And 5 of those came in just a 2-turn sequence of the bingo out rates and then the 5-letter Puzel, whose a definition, again, was the highlight of the game for me, despite all of the other fireworks we saw.
Yeah, for sure. A fascinating game. Another Josh Sokol masterclass. This is just a quintessential Josh game. He has a lot of different, games that he can play. He can play on an offensive board if he needs to, but very few players are more comfortable in games like this. Not that Etim really, as you said, he made an excellent account of himself in this game on the whole. It's just going to be one loss for him. But Josh moving even further up the standings with this win. Again, he's won a number, or not one, but he has won, but he's had impressive results in the Collins fields that he's played since switching over to that lexicon. And I think with this win, he moves into first place. Am I crazy? I'm looking at the other standings. Maybe the other results aren't in yet, but either way, what round is this? 23. All right. No, we have some other results that aren't in yet. So, but either way, Josh making his way up the standings, Matt, and really impressive results so far for him.
Yeah, man, this is incredible. Josh is so inconsistent as a player, but when he's firing on all cylinders, he is so good at Scrabble. It seems like he's put it together here at this one. A big win for Josh. He's right in the thick of things. Boy, this Collins division is so stacked. I'm looking at some incredible players just kind of floating at or below 500. Austin Shin was 10-11 this morning. Wasim Khatri 10-11 this morning. Those are both fantastic Scrabble players. But hey, somebody's got to lose when everybody is this good.
It's true. And 2 players that we've seen already this morning. We've had 2 matchups to start of our top performing players from Nigeria versus North American-based players. We're going to go back and see 2 of those players again. It's going to be a matchup next round between Josh Sokol, again on stream, against his countryman and former world champion Joel Wapnick, coming up next in round 24. Just want to say a quick thank you to all the staff behind the scenes associated with this event, the 2024 Word Cup, co-produced by Word Game Players Organization, WGPO, and the Collins Coalition. Both organizations doing a wonderful job bringing us this amazing event. And yeah, Matt, we've got one more game before our lunch break, and already we've seen a couple of bangers to start here.
Couple of bangers to start. We're hoping for a couple of more bangers from the CSW division this morning. One more game to come before our lunch break. Huge thanks, as Will said, to both the Word Game Players Organization and the Collins Coalition, Wigpo and Coco, for putting together this event. Huge thank you to our team on the ground, Christian and Andrew, running the contraption, doing all kinds of electronics. They're the ones running the stream. Will and I just get to do the talking and analysis, but huge thank you to them. Thanks to all of our viewers. We were over 300 for most of that last game. Thanks to you for being here and for continuing to be here. And if you're just tuning in to Scrabble or stumbling upon this stream, Will's channel has tons of Scrabble content, some of it live streamed events like this, but a lot of really cool breakdowns of all-time classic Scrabble games. They're accessible to players at all levels. I, as an expert level player, get a lot out of the videos, but beginner players, intermediate players, players from all across the spectrum have digestible and awesome Scrabble content. So if you haven't subscribed yet to Will's channel, do that. Give this video a little thumbs up. Help us build some traction across day 4 as well on YouTube's algorithm. Make sure you like and subscribe. I got to do the plug-in for Will while we're here. And one more game to come.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. So we got Joel seated down there, but Josh is going to need to stretch his legs after that one. So very quick break for us, and we will be back with Joel Wapnick versus Josh Sokol from the 2024 World Cup.